Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence. Today's show is, ladies and gentlemen, light and easy cooking. Hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is a light and easy cooking show. And we've asked registered dietitian Allison Arnett to join us. Good morning, Allison.
Good morning, Marsha. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me back on the show.
Please. You know, Allison, you did such a great job when we did the first show that our viewers were calling and saying, can we have her come back and just do a food demonstration? So today we want to ask you to show us something delectable and in this beautiful kitchen at Solar Fitness.
Great. Well, today we're preparing a vegetarian meal.
Okay.
We're using quinoa as the basis of our meal. And this is a whole grain. And like we spoke about actually the last time I was here, it's completely gluten-free and it has a lot of protein. So it's a great grain to use, especially if you're cooking vegetarian.
So we got a gluten-free meal and
it's vegetarian as well.
Okay,
so we'll start by just adding a half a cup of that quinoa.
Okay.
And a cup of low sodium vegetable broth for flavor. You can use low sodium chicken broth if that's what you prefer, but we'll just keep this totally vegetarian and use the low sodium vegetarian broth. You can keep an eye on that and let me know when it boils and we'll turn that down and cover it up.
Okay.
So that's the foundation and what we're using. And what we'll do is we'll stuff zucchini with the quinoa. So we're making a quinoa stuffed zucchini bowl, and we're using zucchini sort of as the not only the vegetable in the meal, but also the vessel that we're serving in, just to make it a little bit fancy.
Is this meal more flexible where it could be with meat as well as a vegetarian?
Sure. So we're saying that about a full zucchini, or if the zucchini are smaller, a zucchini and a half would be a full meal.
Okay.
But if you were choosing it as a side dish, you just use a half zucchini per person and pair it with a nice breast of chicken or some fish or whatever you chose to do. Or you could even stuff this with a little turkey meat as well, if that was your preference.
Our vegan friends will be impressed with us today that we're doing something that's vegetarian.
So I'll just turn this onto a medium heat right here. And we'll go ahead and get started with some olive oil. And we're just using a tablespoon of olive oil. We always want to measure our oil because even though we're using a healthy oil, we just want to make sure that we're not having too much of it. Because you can even have too much of healthy things.
So let me ask you this, Allison. When we saw you last, the question of it was like a lot of people are concerned with the dietary measurement of food products. So this is a gluten-free and vegetarian meal.
Yes, it is.
Now, when a person is shopping, do they need to look for items that say gluten-free, so that's how they get started?
If that's at the end, but if you wanted to make a vegan, you could just omit the cheese at the end. So what we're adding here is some garlic, about 1 to 2 cloves of chopped garlic, and some shallots, about 1 to 2 tablespoons of chopped shallots. And shallot is just like a miniature onion. You've probably seen it in the store.
Yeah,
has a nice fragrance, but it's a little sweeter.
Okay.
So what's nice about this is that if you weren't, if you didn't want to go through the effort of chopping the onion or chopping the garlic, you could easily use the garlic that comes in the refrigerator in the jar, or you could use the dried minced onion that comes in the jar as well. So you don't need to use the fresh, but since we had it on hand, I thought I'd
because some of our viewers maybe having a bout with arthritis or something, so we always concerned that can you get some vegetables already pre-diced and things like that.
Right. So you can definitely do that. You could even use frozen onions if you wanted to.
Do you need me to stir this or anything? Because I'm watching it.
It's just going to do its thing, and we'll wait for it to come to a boil. The nice thing about quinoa is it only takes 10 to 15 minutes to cook. So this meal will be done in no time.
Now, is quinoa the same as couscous?
It's not. Couscous, they have whole wheat couscous, but couscous is actually a pasta, whereas quinoa is a seed or a grain.
Quinoa. Okay.
So it's a much higher in protein. It's a much healthier option.
Okay, I like the meal they got on the box. Can we get a shot of that? Do you see salmon? I didn't tell you salmon is my favorite. Okay.
I should be cooking salmon today then.
That's okay. It's okay. I like vegetarian meals. Okay, this looks pretty good there. Okay.
So we have this warming up, and what I wanted to add to it is beans. But since I'm using a can of beans here, I want to make sure I drain it and rinse it off. So I'm just going to use a colander and drain this and rinse it really well, and that helps get some of the salt, the sodium.
Okay. So you can use canned beans. You just want to make sure you rinse them off so that they don't have the salt.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So a lot of people say to themselves, well, how am I supposed to make the meal if it's got salt in it? All right.
So
this
and
way.
you eliminate about half of the salt in the
Okay.
can of beans just by draining them and rinsing them off.
So that's the shortcut.
So that's the shortcut.
All right.
And we'll add a cup of beans right into the same pan here.
And what kind of beans are those?
These are cannellini beans. It's a white kidney bean.
White kidney beans.
They're one of my favorites, but you could use any type of bean you wanted in this.
All right.
So we'll go ahead and give that a stir. And how's my quinoa doing? It looks like it's getting to a boil
It's doing
here.
its thing over here. It's
Okay.
doing its thing. Now, is this a meal that you prepare for your family?
All the time.
Okay.
All the time,
That makes it
yeah.
easier on us. All right. All right. So if your family like it, I want to like it. All right. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know me. I always tell you if you have a show idea of a meal that you think you want to plan for us, you can easily call me at 1-800-323-5336 or drop me in line at justastalkshow.org. And now you can go to Facebook, Just As Talk Show Facebook, as well as tweet Marsha. Okay, and so if you have a show idea, remember our concept is low in cholesterol, low in calories, diabetic friendly. If you can do that all in 30 minutes, you need to give us a call. All right. So Allison, now here at Soul, I know that your job is to help people get their food intake on track.
Correct.
Okay, so have you suggested this meal in particular to anyone, to any of your clients?
I've suggested very similar meals. I use quinoa a lot when I'm making
Okay.
meals here in the kitchen. And we do cooking classes here twice a week, or nutrition classes twice a week that all have a cooking element. And once a month we actually do a full cooking class where we do 4 different recipes.
Wow.
So this is similar to a lot of the dishes that we do. What I'm adding here is fire roasted, no salt added diced tomatoes. So you get a ton of flavor in that fire roasting, but there's no salt added in that can of tomatoes. So it's a light in sodium and it has
So should it be fire roasted?
you can choose regular, but the fire roasted just has so much more flavor that's what I use.
good.
You smell it already,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, it smells good. Okay.
So we'll combine all of that. And we'll just let that heat through and let a little bit, you see there's still a little bit of liquid, and we want to get rid of some of that liquid. So we'll just let it cook until some of the liquid gets absorbed.
Okay.
And we're just going to use some
Starting to
freshly
look like
ground
red beans.
pepper.
Red beans. Okay. Little pepper. Now I notice most of the chefs that we see, no one uses salt, which is a good thing.
Correct.
Okay. But you can use other seasonings in place
Correct.
to give you a little flavor.
You can
All
use
right,
other
okay.
seasonings to give you flavor. And with salt, you just want to have no salt added ingredients, and you can add a pinch or 2 of salt. I'll do that just at the end to make sure we bring out the flavor, but just a little bit. So we want to
Would it be
control
low
the
salt?
amount that we're adding.
Would it be low salt or
No, just a little bit of regular salt
okay.
at the end.
All right. All right.
So I'll show you how much we're doing. It's just a tiny pinch just to bring out the flavor in
Ew.
those tomatoes, and that's it.
Okay, did you see that? All right. I think I did. Okay, but that was a pinch.
So
You
there
said
we
a
go.
pinch.
So while this is cooking, I'll tell you what I did earlier. I already cooked my zucchini in the microwave.
All right.
And all we do is we take the zucchini and we put about an inch of water in the bottom of the pan, and then we put the zucchini in, we cover it up, and we put it in the microwave. Depending on the size of your zucchini, it only takes about 8 minutes.
Okay.
I did it in advance just because I have to cut it right here, so I didn't want to burn my hands. So
All
that's the
right,
only
all right,
reason why we
okay.
had that done.
Yeah, those are pretty nice sized zucchini.
Right,
So
they are.
You measure the length of how long it takes to cook by the size of the zucchini.
Exactly.
Okay, all right,
Exactly. And
that's
what
pretty
you
good.
want, you can also stick
Wow.
it with your fork afterwards. What you want is something, you can even feel it now.
Pretty
What you want
soft.
is something that's pretty soft because we're going to be using it again to eat.
Okay. All right. You want me to stir or anything?
You're good.
Okay.
I think we're
See, I
all set
thought
here.
that's my job is to stand here. All right.
So what I'll do is I'll scoop the pulp right out of the zucchini. And you see it, because it's cooked already, it just comes out so easily.
wow.
And that'll go straight in here, so we're not losing any of the vegetable. I think this is akin to a twice baked potato, where you've already cooked the
I've
meat.
never seen that before.
And
so
then
you
we're
actually
just-
can microwave the zucchini.
Cook it
Okay.
through, and then
Cook it
we'll
through.
turn our heat down a little bit, and we'll add it right into the same pan with our tomatoes and garlic, all those nice
Wow.
seasonings. And you just use a regular old spoon to do this.
You know, and I'm so used to seeing zucchini sliced and diced up and cooked in a pan. I
Oh,
never
I
thought
broke
about
one of
that
my
you could put it in the
zucchini.
microwave, make a dish from it in the microwave. No.
And the nice
Okay.
thing about this dish is I already broke one of my zucchini, but we can just stuff the 2 halves and it still makes a pretty presentation, so we don't have to worry about that.
All right.
It's a nice rustic dish. I like to cook things that they look nice on the plate, but they also are easy to prepare. So I'll just run my knife through this zucchini once.
Okay.
There we go. And we'll throw that all right in there, so we're getting all that nutrition right
Now,
back
is
in our
zucchini
dish.
considered a fiber?
It's a fibrous
I
vegetable.
thought
Yeah,
that's what
it's a
it
nice
was.
fibrous
All right,
vegetable.
all right.
So we'll stir that through. And for kids, I know my son will eat this and he doesn't even know everything that's in there because it just blends in and it has a really nice look to it. So even for kids, this is a great dish.
That's wonderful because kids are picky.
Kids are picky.
Right.
So we have this ready to go. And what I'll do is I'll spray my pan with Pam. So at the end, I'll just have you throw this under the broiler for me once everything's done. And we'll cook it under the broiler for just about 4 minutes. We'll put some cheese on top just to melt the cheese and then it'll be ready to go.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a break, and I guarantee you by the time you get back, this will be in the oven. We'll be right back.
Now, come on. Come on. All right. I know. 2 seconds. Hang on. Just stand still. Stand still, love. 1 second. I know. Just okay, good. Okay, go, go, go. No. Boys, hang on, boys.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
And welcome back to the show. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's a light and easy cooking show day with Allison Arnett of Solar Life and Fitness. And so Allison is preparing a vegetarian meal for us today. And in the event, I know some of you've got some questions like, oh, how nutritional is this meal, and who is this meal designed for? Allison?
So this meal is designed for anybody. Obviously, it'll please the vegetarians in your family, but since it has the beans in it, and we're also using the quinoa, those are 2 great protein sources, so you don't even need a meat to go along with it. And I tell all my clients, there's a campaign out there called Meatless Monday. I tell all my clients, choose a day and try to be meatless. Not only is it healthy for your heart and for your body and for your weight, but it also saves you a few dollars because a can of beans and some quinoa is certainly a lot less expensive than cooking a filet or a whole chicken or something. So we'll save a little bit of money by doing this.
A lot of people should plan to go meatless, and but you can go meatless a couple of days a week and still.
You can go meatless a couple of days a week.
Okay,
sure, that's great.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, keep that in mind. Now, we don't have to have meat every day. Some of you say, sure, I have meat. No, you don't. Okay, so if you try it, you might like it. Because I don't eat meat every day, and I realize that. And some of us who do eat meat, we don't necessarily have to have red meat.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So this just gives you another option. So while the quinoa is finishing and before we put everything in the oven, let me go ahead. I have some simple greens, and I'm taking the shortcut here. I use the pre-washed cut box of greens.
All right.
And I'll just dress those with a light homemade dressing, just olive oil, vinegar, and some herbs. And this green salad actually has some herbs in it already. And we're just going to toss that together, and that'll be really nice on our plate when we're serving it.
What do you think about the urban gardens now? I mean, everyone has, not everyone, but a lot of people are having their own vegetable gardens and everything, which makes it more easier for them to use their own products that they have cultivated out their gardens.
Right. And it's a great idea.
It saves
you money.
Yep.
It saves you time because every time you need an herb. And then also when you go to the store and you buy fresh herbs, you end up wasting so much unless you repurpose it throughout the course of the week. So unless you plan to use the same herbs every day of the week, you're going to end up throwing some away at the end of the week. So that's a great way to just snip what you need and be done.
That's good. That's good.
So
I'm into the urban gardens. I like that. I like driving and seeing people in the yard. And
I like that too. It's such a good use
tomatoes,
of land.
Cabbage. I hate the fact that when it gets cold, we don't have that here in Michigan, but we do the best we can.
So I'll throw some greens that are dressed on the plate.
Okay.
And as you can see, one of the things that we talk about in nutrition is having a colorful plate, because the more colorful your plate is, the more nutrients that are on that plate itself.
Oh, yeah.
So we're just adding some color. We have a nice green. There's some red from the radicchio. It's a nice salad that we'll put on the plate there.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Start it off with a nice salad.
While we're finishing up this, do you want to just get started on the dessert and then we can go back and place this in the oven?
Sure.
Okay.
However you want to do it.
So we're making the most simple dessert. It's a raspberry mousse.
Raspberry mousse.
And all we're doing, we're using frozen raspberries. So this dessert, you can make it in the summer, you can make it in the fall, you can make it in the winter. It doesn't matter because we're using.
I'm just impressed that we're having a complete meal with dessert. All right.
It's a nice treat, right? Right. And this is a diabetic-friendly dessert. It's healthy, and we're just using Greek yogurt and some raspberries. So what we'll do is we'll come right over here.
So this was cold.
We want everything to be very cold when we're going into this dessert. The reason why is because we want it to really come together almost like an ice cream or a mousse.
Okay.
And the way we do that is we have everything very cold when it goes in. So
raspberries.
The raspberries were a little bit too cold, perhaps. So let's go ahead and open this up.
Okay.
And we'll put the raspberries right in.
Now, is this one of your family favorites too?
It is.
I figured that.
It
All
is.
right, all right,
And you know what? It's great
Okay.
the first day you make it, and then it's great on the other days because it sits in the refrigerator nicely. It doesn't stay together quite as well, but it sits in the refrigerator really nicely.
That was really in there.
That was really cold in
Okay.
there. So
All right.
thank you for your help. And what we'll do is we'll.
Oh, and that's
take
the
this-
yogurt we talked
Oh,
about.
it is. You're
Okay.
right. This is that healthy yogurt I spoke about. And just like I said the last time I was here, we're just using the fruit to make it nice and sweet.
Okay.
So I'll grab a spoon here.
So this is the healthy yogurt. Okay. Now, so the meal that you're making along with dessert and everything, that's in the time frame of like, okay, for your family, you can pop that meal together, make dessert all at the same time.
All at the same time,
All right.
exactly. So we're making the dessert while we're finishing our
That's
cooking.
what we call a real cook, ladies
And
and
everything will
gentlemen.
be done. So what
Okay.
I'm using is vanilla extract. Buy the real stuff. It's worth the extra $1 at the store to buy the real pure vanilla extract
My
rather
mom
than
does
the
that.
imitation.
So don't come in here with the imitation stuff.
So we're just using a 1/4 teaspoon for flavor right there.
All right.
And then we're going to use a little honey to sweeten. Now this is diabetic friendly, it's still low in sugar, but if you chose to use something like Splenda to sweeten it or stevia, the natural sweetener,
Okay.
that would be fine too.
I wonder about that, you know, because I'm a Splenda person. Okay.
You just saw me spray this with a little
Right.
pan so the honey doesn't stick on the spoon.
Okay. All right. Now, who would have thought of that? All right. All right. So, okay. So you're saying you can substitute the honey with Splenda or stevia?
Or stevia, certainly. That would be fine. Or you could just use the honey. Again, it's just a tablespoon for 2 servings,
I'm sure
so
our
it's a small
diabetic
amount.
friendly friends are saying, "Are you serious?" Okay. All right.
Okay.
So let me get this out of your way.
So we'll go, thank you so much. So we'll go ahead and put this on and lock it into place. And then while we do that, I think our quinoa is just about done cooking. So let's give that a second. And we'll take our quinoa out. And again, we just want to combine the cooked quinoa right there into this.
Wow.
And we'll just scoop it right into our zucchini boats.
Okay. You know, it smells really. You know, it smells good in here. All right. So, smells a little Italian there.
Yep, we're using the cannellini beans are an Italian ingredient. So we'll just scoop it in. Again, nothing fancy. We want a nice meal that we can cook for our families in no
The
time
colors
flat.
are beautiful.
That's part of
Right,
it.
the
We
colors are
eat first
beautiful.
with our eyes, right? And then with our mouth. So we
Now,
want to make
I
sure
can
that
see how
it's
your kids may get into it because kids look at colors and they like red things, they like green things, so they don't know it's good for them.
exactly.
Okay. But as an adult, I'm looking at it. It looks good. All right. All right. So ideally, what we're trying to convey to our viewers is not what we're trying. What we do convey to our viewers is that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for change. So each and every one of you who watch our shows, you know that we are trying to do our best to convey to you some information that is helpful in your health conscious living, which means if you're eating right or if you're not eating right, change over to eating right. If you have health conditions or challenges that you feel that you're the only person in the world going through something, no, contact us so we can find the organization or agency that is supportive services for what you're looking for. All right, so do go to our social media page. Okay.
This is ready for the oven.
Wow. Okay.
It'll-
All right. So let me get a glove here. Oh. And it's probably not hot, but no, I may. All right. So this is going in the oven.
It's going under the broiler for 3 to 4 minutes, just until we brown the cheese and it's cooked through. And we just added about a teaspoon of cheese onto each of those.
Since I'm here, I figure I could be the oven keeper.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Do we get a shot of that? Because it looks good. So you couldn't eat this like this then, right?
You could, but the melted cheese makes it even that much better. So we're just melting the cheese to make it taste really good.
Okay, and what do you want me to put this on?
You could set it for 3 minutes.
Okay.
That would be great.
3 and start. Okay,
Perfect.
got it. All right.
And then,
That looks good.
and then we'll finish our dessert while that's in the oven. So we're just going to give this a whirl. And our raspberries were really frozen here.
Alrighty.
So we'll let it go through. It might take a minute or two.
Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna work. Okay. Well, it's starting off colorful.
It's starting off colorful and
Okay.
it'll just continue. We'll let this work. You know, it's actually good that it's doing this because the more frozen it is, the nicer it'll come together in the end. So it might take a minute more to process this, but once it's done, you'll really be happy with the results of this.
So I tell you what, we're gonna go on break. When we get back, we're gonna have this dessert. We'll be right back.
weight loss, it's one of the many ways to fight osteoarthritis pain. For more information on managing pain, go to fightarthritispain.org.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we didn't want you to miss a thing, so Allison is in the process of making the dessert, okay? And so what we did was kept it running while we went to break, and now that we're back, the frozen raspberries.
Frozen raspberries.
Frozen raspberries broke down. Okay.
And do you see the color of that?
Oh, wow.
It's gorgeous. Kids will love it.
Show
I
the
mean,
guys that, you know.
it looks like
real
good
sherbet
dessert
to me. All right.
And look, we're just using an ice cream scoop, and it scoops out like it almost looks as though you're eating ice cream. It just scoops out and stays nice. You want to serve this immediately. If not, you'd want to put it in the freezer to kind of keep it cold.
Okay.
The next day, you can still eat it. It tastes great, but it's going to be a little bit more like yogurt than like a mousse.
All right. You know, it actually looks like sherbet.
You can top it with your favorite toppings. I know you like blueberries from the last time. You said those were one of your favorites. And we also have some chopped nuts. So you can top it with just whatever you would want to have.
All right. You know, and I want to tell the viewers, our meal came out of the oven, so people probably saying, how long that goes in there? So we did pop the meal out the oven, and I know we got a shot of that. Now, Allison, that looks great. That really does. Not only is the colors vibrant and everything, it looks like a good meal that you want to try to eat, okay? So I'm definitely putting some blueberries on my, what's this, raspberry and yogurt.
Raspberry yogurt.
Okay,
Yep,
I got
raspberry yogurt mousse.
A few nuts, because I like nuts. Okay.
Perfect. And then we have the dish here, and as you see, full of color. And you asked the question at the beginning, so this in and of itself is a complete meal. It's entirely meatless. We're using two types of protein. We're using the quinoa as a protein. We're also using the white beans as a protein. So in and of itself, it's a complete meal. I know in my house it keeps everyone full, so it's perfect. We have a nice salad on the side for extra vegetables. Okay. And so you can go ahead and try that.
Oh yeah, look, I'm cleaning up my spot. Okay.
If you preferred, you could definitely do this again with just one of the zucchini boats and have a chicken breast with it or a piece of fish if you didn't want to have your meatless meal. This could be a side dish, a great vegetable side dish. But you know, it's always great to go meatless once in a while.
I think so too. That's why I got my famous fork and knife. Okay, now I know salad, so I'm going to try a little bit of salad, but I definitely want to cut into the zucchini. So let me try the salad first because you got this wonderful dressing on it. So this dressing you made yourself? This was
I made myself, and you know what I did? Because I had already chopped up some shallots for the zucchini. I just threw some shallots in with my olive oil and vinegar. Okay. And I used mustard to emulsify it and kind of make a thicker dressing, so you'll taste a little mustard in there, and that was it. And again, I'm using an herb salad blend. So in the salad mix, I mean, you have dill and you have parsley and you have all sorts of great herbs right in that salad mix. Good. Make it nice and easy on yourself. That's real
good. We should get into the point where we can make our own dressing. And dressing is very high in calories.
Dressing is very high in calories, often high in sugar and high in sodium. So we used olive oil, but we used a controlled amount. We measured it ourselves. We used some balsamic vinegar. And we really we didn't add any salt or pepper. And we added pepper, but no extra salt. So we just made a nice dressing using those fresh shallots and the fresh parsley.
Okay. Let me get started here because people are probably looking like, all right, she's going to eat that. Yes, I am. And the cheese is melted nicely. And it's smoking, so you know it's hot. Okay, so
the melted cheese is such an important component. You'll tell me what you think, but I think it makes it almost like a pizza. It has that nice fire roasted tomato and then the melted cheese on top.
It smells great.
Good.
It really smells great. And salad just started me off, so let me go straight to the meal. Okay. All right. I don't know if you know it, but 2 times is a charm. Okay.
So eating meatless works for you. There you go. Go figure.
This is actually good. I mean, okay, now go over the ingredients for me again.
So what we did was we just sauteed some garlic and shallots in a pan with a little bit of olive oil. We added in 1 cup of beans. I took them straight from the can, but I drained them and rinsed them to get rid of a lot of that extra sodium. We added some fire roasted diced tomatoes that had no salt added and a little bit of curly parsley. We put that all together with some quinoa that I cooked in low sodium vegetable broth. Cooked that all up together. And we stuffed it into the zucchini. We also added the zucchini pulp right in because we don't want to lose any of those nutrients. So we added the zucchini pulp right into this dish. We made a boat using the vessel, which was the zucchini, and stuck it in the oven with a little bit of cheese just for 3-4 minutes under the broiler to melt that cheese.
This is a good meal. Okay, I don't want my dessert to go sideways. But ladies and gentlemen, the meal itself is excellent. And you know how I am. So I always watch the eyebrows. The eyebrows didn't lock, which means it was an excellent meal. Okay. But that is good. That is actually good.
You have surprise in your voice, and a lot of people do, because there's no meat. So everyone says, well, how is this going to be a meal? How is it going to have flavor? So this is just to show a ton of flavor, no meat at all,
Wow.
just a meatless meal, very inexpensive to make. We're talking a can of beans and a little bit of quinoa, some grains and some vegetables. Really
So
inexpensive
on the average,
to make.
this meal itself will cost you about what?
I should do the math, actually. That's a good question. Maybe I'll give you that number, and you can let people know.
I mean,
if
it
they
looks like
wonder
it's a
that
meal
question.
up under $5 to be
It
truthful.
should be. It
Okay,
should be.
because you're talking about a can of beans, what's this?
The quinoa,
Quinoa,
the
okay.
zucchini.
The zucchini.
Yeah, nothing should
And
be that
cheese.
expensive.
Okay, so we'll give it like $10. But that was an excellent choice of vegetables to come together, to blend together, to make a complete meal for a family.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I can understand why your family likes the meal. I really do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna try this one more time before we go to dessert. If it was really good, I have to be honest with you. It's really good.
Enjoy it. That's what you're here for.
Wow. I got that. Okay.
So now we're trying the raspberry mousse, the simplest dessert. My frozen raspberries got a little stuck, so it even took longer here than it would take. 2-3 minutes is all it takes in that food processor.
I don't know if these guys got a shot of that, but I put my nuts in there with my blueberries, and it looks so much like raspberry sherbet that if you hadn't told me it was yogurt, I would never thought. I just would have just went on it. So I'm going to try it because it looks good and it's frozen. Okay. Okay. Wow.
Nice raspberry flavor in there. You have a little hint of vanilla extract.
Wow. I'm not tasting yogurt.
No, the consistency, the raspberries take over, and it just becomes a really nice consistency. So it's just, and the idea of using frozen, you have to use frozen in this. You can't use fresh, because if you use the fresh raspberries, it'll just make raspberry yogurt. If you use the frozen, keep it really cold. Keep your food processor in the refrigerator. The at least the cup element of the food processor and the blade in the refrigerator, just like when you're baking scones or biscuits. It all comes together and it makes a nice thick mousse, and that's the goal of this.
Is raspberry your top choice for the yogurt, for the frozen dish?
It works the best in this dish. You could use blackberries or blueberries or a mixture, or strawberries, but I like raspberries the best.
Allison, you outdid yourself today. Okay.
Good. Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Really, I'm going back and forth, but it's actually an excellent meal.
Well, thanks for having me back today.
Thank you. Now, the calorie count on the dessert, do you know?
It's 110 calories per serving, and what I made serves 2 people. So your serving was actually appropriate, maybe even a little less than appropriate. 110 calories per serving, really light and lean in the calories.
This is excellent, because to me, this particular dessert is, even if you don't have anything to eat for dinner or whatever, say like you just want a snack, would you suggest this for a snack?
It's a great snack. It's a great snack.
It got me.
Yeah.
It got me. And the nuts were fine. You know, I normally wouldn't have put the nuts in there, but I was just like, oh, okay, little nuts. 'Cause I was thinking in my mind, this is yogurt, plain yogurt. But the raspberries have enough flavor in them that it covered up the yogurt taste, which was a plain yogurt.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. That dessert is excellent. So our total calorie count today for the meal and the dessert together.
I believe the quinoa zucchini boats, I had 340 calories in those, and then the dessert was 110. So 440 calories in your whole meal right there.
Okay. Well, all together, this was an excellent choice. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have to have you come see us again. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not kidding you. Now, Marsha's not a vegetarian. There's nothing wrong with being a vegetarian. I'm just a little more of a meat eater. But this meal today has gotten me. So I'm going to go home and try to prepare this meal. I suggest that you do too. So you'll catch Allison's recipe on our website at justasktalkshow.org, or go to our social media page, Facebook, Just Ask Facebook, and call me at 1-800-323-5336 with a show idea or a question for some of our guests. Allison, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And just I also have given you the carbohydrate count and everything else that you can put on the website as well, in addition to the calorie information, so your viewers can see.
Thank you so much. So when the camera lights go down, Marsha's going to finish her meal. But keep in mind, you can always stand in my shoes and sample the food. Give us a call or drop us a line. I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask. What do I always say? If you know someone with a disability, or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host. Thank you.